Participate in your meeting and introduce myself to you and kind of let you know what I'm all about and why I'm doing what I'm doing. I grew up not too far away from here in Portland, Oregon. I was raised in Portland after being born in Sweet Home, Oregon, just a little tiny town outside of Eugene. I was born there when my folks were working for the Forest Service and putting themselves through college. Being raised in Portland gave me a great opportunity to really explore the Pacific Northwest, especially the foothills of the Cascades and Columbia River Gorge. As far back as I can remember, all I wanted to do was serve this country as a soldier. I think I was inspired by reading our history and all those who came before us, like we have here in this room this evening. Guys that went to fight in Vietnam, World War II, all those men and women really inspired me and made me want to go forth and fight for this country. So when I was 18 years old, I enlisted in the Army, earned a spot in the 2nd Ranger Battalion as an infantryman. Shortly thereafter, I worked my way into Special Forces. As that was happening, our country was attacked on September 11th, 2001, as we all know. So those events kind of set me on a 2-decade-long adventure overseas fighting for our country. It was the greatest experience of my life and the greatest honor of my life, fighting for this country. I fought with some amazing Americans, lost many good friends along the way in our wars. Serving at that capacity showed me lots of things, but mostly it showed me that Americans always want to go forward and do what's right and fight for their country. However, we are governed by people who have lost touch with that. The establishment on both sides had no problem keeping us involved in wars for over 2 decades without really any benefit for this country, except for making us overextended and exposed while the establishment at home got rich. So with that knowledge, I knew that I needed to start speaking out and taking my experience from the ground level and putting it someplace where I could do more good for the country. I'd intended on starting a second career in the intelligence community and serving in that capacity because I still believe in our fight. However, my life was kind of turned upside down about 2 years ago when my wife, who was also in the military, was killed fighting in Syria. So she was killed at a really pivotal time in our country's history, but also at a really pivotal time in the Trump administration. So just a month before Shannon was killed, President Trump tried to get us out of Syria, and that was for good reason. We had reached our military objective. We had taken out ISIS as President Trump promised. We had done so decisively, and staying any longer in Syria would have left us vulnerable to another chapter in our endless wars. So President Trump attempted to get us out, and that's when we saw the claws come out from the establishment. They threw everything they had at him. Secretary Mattis, high-ranking members of the State Department, and all the retired talking heads on TV. Made it seem like President Trump was selling our country down the river, all kinds of horrible things. So I was dealing with the horrible events that had affected my family so deeply, but I also knew that I had to start speaking out. So from there, I went on pretty much any newspaper or TV station that would have me on, let me write an article, just to tell them the truth from my perspective and to articulate what President Trump was trying to do for the men and women of this country. I continued to serve in that capacity throughout the campaign, and then we all know what happened in November of 2020. We saw the far left, the media, corporations, and big tech all push the narrative that Joe Biden had overwhelmingly won 80 million votes, and we couldn't even question it. And if we did question it, we'd be labeled as terrorists, insurrectionists, traitors, and all kinds of other horrible things. We know we're not. We know we're patriots. We know there was legitimate questions from 2020 that still need to be answered. We can't let them bury us with that narrative. So I was pretty motivated to do something. I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do until Representative Butler did what she did. So she's the reason why I'm here. I want to go forward and fight in D.C. again for the people of this district, because she demonstrated perfectly what I had already seen in my 20-plus year military career and my career in the intelligence community. That once politicians get put in power for far too long, they lose touch with where they come from. They don't know why they're there anymore, and they just exist to really make themselves and their special interest groups rich. So when she did what she did, I knew I had to throw my name in the hat and challenge her seat, because I want to make the people's voice from this district heard again. And so I want to hear from you. I know what issues matter the most to you. I know that Representative Butler has neglected the infrastructure, the jobs, all of our precious natural resources out here that used to be the backbone of our economy. I know all that's taken a back seat to all of her different pet projects, and really just keeping a low profile up until the events of the impeachment trial that she wanted to grab the spotlight on. So that's why I'm running and doing what I'm doing, because I want to restore our voices in Washington, D.C. So I'd like to get to know all of you. I have a website. I got some business cards I can pass out. If anybody has any questions, I'm happy to answer them now. I know we're kind of pressed for time. You guys have already been very generous with giving me time. So please just engage with me if you're going up into the pre-primary that we're having. I'd be happy to answer any questions, and I just want to hear what matters to this district and every district within the 3rd. So thank you very much.